pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for your participation.
Let me turn this one on.
You got
That one time.
So tonight is supposed to be our kind of special focus on community engagement night. We got two guests who aren't part of the normal rule. So, I mean, you can breeze through as much as you want and I don't know, talk about, in general, still would like to talk about planning for next year and, you know, what we'll move forward. I did want to note, one of our guests, Bill, did bring an item for us to review. It's a letter to the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission. So we'll go ahead and cover that, I guess, after we go through what we planned as the agenda, despite the turnout. But I just want to let you know we have that to cover as well tonight. Really quick, I mean, since we do have a guest here, so I'll just start the introductions. My name is Andy Katronik. I'm the current EAB chair. Been at the township 17 years, on the board now for just over 6 years. I'll be actually rolling off because my terms will expire. My background was actually aerospace engineering, but about 4 years ago I switched and got my master's in sustainable engineering, and now I do kind of product carbon footprinting in a plastics and chemical company.
I'm Paul Anderson. I have lived in Plymouth Township for 33 years, and I have a background in chemical engineering, and I worked for a company that made emission control products for combustion sources.
What company?
Johnson Matthey.
Right here in Plymouth?
It's in Wayne,
Oh, in Wayne.
among other places. The place where I worked was in Wayne.
I'm Andrew Convoy. I've been on the board for 2 years about, I think, and been a Plymouth resident since 2000. I'm mostly interested in green space and trees, native plants and stuff like that, so that's mainly what I focus on. And yeah, thank you for being here.
Okay. Artist Lukens. I live down in Cunnytown. Bill gave me the thing, or I think you did actually, Andrew. I think one of the two of you gave me. And I was like, yeah. So I decided I'd come. My interest is in the same native gardens, although mine's very small. You know, pollinator gardens and stuff like that. Sustainability. But not happy about that old data center.
How many years have you been in Plymouth?
In Plymouth, since, I'm going to say, 40 years?
Wow.
40 years down in Cunnytown, yeah. Haven't gotten robbed once. Go ahead, Nick.
I'm the council person in Ward 1, outgoing, so you see me 2 more times. That's it.
Dude. Don't be too happy about it. You're like doing the happy dance.
How long have you been in Plymouth, Nick?
28 and a half years now. I'll be 29 in May.
What are you gonna do after council?
Something else, just needed to not be locked into a small little section of Plymouth, so. And it didn't feel right running for 4 more years if I might leave in 2, so. He said no.
I'm Ellen Miramontes, and I've been here since 2016 in Plymouth, moved from California.
Cool.
My background's in landscape architecture and urban planning, and yeah, I guess I care about all the environmental stuff. But, I mean, plants are my base, landscape stuff, and active transportation, pedestrian, bicycle stuff.
I'm Rick Carbo. I'm a township employee, EAB liaison for the township. I was born and raised in Plymouth Township, moved out of Plymouth Township when I was, once I got married, my wife was from Whitpain, so we moved to Whitpain, but born and raised in Plymouth. I don't know how long I lived there, 35 years, I guess.
How long you work for Plymouth?
Coming up on 32 years, so. long
Any
time.
employees with a longer
Yes.
record here?
Yeah, there were a few.
So yeah, I'm Bill Saby. I was. When did you say you moved in?
2000?
What month?
I don't remember.
I moved in January of 2000. So I'm coming up on 26 years.
Where am I from?
Well, how old were you in 2000?
What was I? That was 25 years ago, so I was 5. Yeah.
Ancient history by now. So I'm in IT. I currently work. I was with Burroughs, so that's why I moved to, or built, or got a townhome in Oakwood at Plymouth, over by the Plymouth Swim Club, and I was commuting to Burroughs from Radnor, and then we became Unisys, and then I'm a contractor since 2009 when I got laid off, and so I'm working for the state of Pennsylvania, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, as a contractor. So I got involved in the environmental stuff probably in 2015. Oh no, we started the environmental board in 2008, didn't we? Or
2009.
2000.
Oh, what are they? Well, it says, well, I guess you can't see that sign up there.
So I was recruited by a council person to start the environmental board. I'd been resisting for a couple of years because I had a busy IT job. But then I got into it, and then we did some good things at the beginning. Rick helped us solicit an energy audit of this building, and I think it only cost us under $4,000, and it saved us more than that in the first 3 years. You implemented the efficiency LEDs and heat pump upgrades. And then, so I served on the board for 13 years, I think, and with 2 breaks, because you have to take a break every 6 years. And then I got involved in the clean energy stuff with Ready for 100% Clean Energy, Mako, and Sierra Club. And then that tied into meeting Andy at a township meeting when he came by our table, and I twisted his arm to see if he'd be interested in joining us. So we ended up getting him in the board. So we worked on the energy transition plan together for Plymouth after the Ready for 100 resolution was adopted in 2019. 2019. So that's the picture of when when the resolution got adopted in the lower left corner.
We'll go through some of this.
Yeah, I know. I'm not trying to tell everything. So, but that's me.
Introduce yourself.
Everybody's done?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm Leena Shevde. I am a civil and environmental engineer, right now working at Villanova as assistant professor, and I have been on board since like last 2 years, so 2024, 25.
I brought up the website so I can quiz you as to your start dates here. I don't know.
I know it's November.
Yeah.
Oh, the website needs to be updated for me.
I just
Shows
renewed
I-
mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
They sent me a letter.
Yeah, see, it shows that it already expired.
But you started in November of 2022.
Yeah, 2023. So the entire 24 and now 25.
And how long is the term?
3 years. we'll cover that too.
Okay.
All right, thanks for, you're good, you done?
Mhm.
Thanks for the introduction. So, just a quick about the EAB. So we're an advisory board to council related to environmental issues. 7 members. Yeah, we're missing one tonight. Or two.
Two.
3-year terms, and like I said, every 6 years you do have to at least take a 1-year break. And this is our normal meeting time, and while we call this our community engagement meeting, we're always open to the public, so feel free to come anytime you wish. And we kind of started going through some of the history. It was 2008 started. All these items here, won't go through them all, but different activities. You heard Bill talk some about the energy audit, other things. I mean, these are things that the board was involved in and helped advise council on. A lot of successes over the years there, and then the more recent history. Heard Bill talk about the Ready for 100 pledge in 2019. Involvement in the 2040 plan, especially like the trails section and so forth. Had the 2019 involvement, or no, 2020 involvement with Villanova student. It was a RISE project that they came and worked with us, and so this graph here on emissions, they produced this information. Worked with them, good baseline of our energy use as kind of a start to Ready for 100, so they kind of set what our baseline is, and we're working forward from that. Part of Ready for 100 pledge, also have the energy transition plan, which we're still working on passing, so we will talk some more about that. And of course, with the township, this building renovation, we pushed for, encouraged the use of the geothermal HVAC, and the board did select that, council did select that. Let's see. We now have annual plantings that's been done for many years, but now the last few, Andrew's nonprofit, the
CCP.
Canopy project has taken the lead there. And of course, last year with the approval of the plastics reduction ordinance, and then this year with the first annual native tree giveaway, which was a big success. So that's just a little history. Now we'll go through for this year, we've had basically 3 things we've really been focusing on throughout the year. And so this event was kind of envisioned as at least giving us the kickoff for next year. What will we be focusing on? Maybe we would like to stay with the same things, but we were looking to see what the community was thinking, or what we're thinking as we've made it progress throughout the year, where we stand. So I'm just going to do a chart on each of the current activities. Andrew?
Yeah, this year, so yeah, I guess a section of the board focuses on different things. One of them is open space and meadows. And this is where I guess I focused most of my effort this year, along with Ellen, and a few others have worked on this stuff as well. But we held our first native tree giveaway in Plymouth, which you might have seen this past fall. Gave away 50 trees. Did you not sign up, or?
I didn't at the time have.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll be one next year too. That came about because we were talking originally in the beginning of the year about a tree preservation ordinance, trying to maybe think of ways to dissuade people from cutting down so many of their trees on private property, which is a big issue, I think, in any suburb around here. A lot of tree loss is coming from private property. After exploring that a little bit, we found it might be kind of too difficult to enforce. A lot of municipalities who have these tree preservation ordinances sometimes have trouble enforcing them because that's a lot more where you need to hire another person to do it. So we thought maybe we kind of pivoted to a native tree giveaway, which encourages people to plant and maybe learn the value of trees that way. We also talked about, we haven't talked much about this lately, but kind of a naturalized landscape ordinance or like a lawn meadow ordinance. Occasionally some, I don't think this happens very often, but some residents may get in trouble for like growing a natural vegetation, native vegetation that's taller than current code or something like that. But
There's a code?
I think there is, right?
There's a code on the height of your lawn, yeah.
The height of your wall.
Lawn.
The grass, just to make sure the lawn is kept up.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty high. I think it might be like 18. It's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it could be pretty simple to add an ordinance if council was supportive of it, because there's, like, through We Conserve PA, there's a model ordinance, so.
Yeah, so that could be something to work on. We also talked a little bit about thinking of establishing an open space fund, a dedicated open space fund in the township, where a small portion of, well, it would be a new tax, but a small new tax on residents that would go towards purchasing open space before it's developed or green space before it's developed. That has been kind of on a standstill because the township does a good job of purchasing these lands already, and I think it would be, ultimately, I still think it would be ideal to have a fund like that, because we can leverage grants and stuff, and maybe in the future, if there isn't much funding or I don't know, different personnel in there. But anyway, yeah, we haven't worked on that much. We also thought about doing a seed library at the community center. I still think that's a good idea.
I think that's a cool idea.
Maybe we can try to get that going. And we also did a compost workshop with Back to Earth Compost Crew, which is based here in Plymouth. And it's a small business that helps folks compost, and we did a kind of a learning workshop on that. So that's kind of the main things we're working on. I think that's it. Is there any other things that we missed?
Well, I think one thing that's to note about that's pretty neat about the native tree giveaway is that funding came from township funding they had received from a developer that could not fulfill the requirements for new trees and for the removals. So it was a really nice way to use that funding, and kind of neat all around, because people could get a tree that they wanted in their yard and they really care about it, they're going to take care of it. It's a lot to think of if the township was going to plant all of those trees for that many, to then maintain those and take care of each and every one of those trees. So I think it's just kind of a really win-win-win. And people were so excited and thankful when they came here. They were just like, it was just such a feel-good event. You did an amazing job organizing that. Andrew got all the trees and everything.
You're the best, Andrew.
Yeah, they were nice trees. They're like
They were, yeah.
5-6 feet tall. Or,
Yeah.
20 feet tall.
Yeah, some of them are way up there.
Did anyone on the board take one, or is it mostly just everyone else?
I ended up getting one because there were a couple extras at the last meeting, I guess it was. I wasn't going to get one, but I got a river birch. So it's in the ground. It's happy.
How about the composting? Did you say it did not happen because it was low enrollment?
No, it did happen.
Oh, was she
There were about 7 folks.
wow.
So-
Really showed up kind of late registrants.
Yeah, yeah. There were some issues with the website. I couldn't register, so people just showed up and signed up there and paid. So,
That's good.
The second thing we've been focusing on is walk and bike path development. I have more charts, Ellen. Would you mind kind of talking about this?
Yeah. So another fellow that's on the board, Frank McCreesh, he's really been heading this up, but I've been tag teaming with him a bit on it too. Is really trying to focus on what's called active transportation, so safe bicycle and pedestrian routes. So one particular one that Frank has taken up is a way to get from the community center all the way down to the Schuylkill River Trail through bike lanes. So there's talk of doing a pilot bike lane project on Jolly Road there between Germantown and Township Line. So I'm not sure where that stands. I think some estimates were.
Yeah, I think they're waiting to hear back from the traffic engineer is what I heard last time.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the last bullet. Yeah, that's the last I've heard.
Yeah.
That was just last month.
You kind of have to stay on top of that.
Yeah. So we've been looking at also more longer term projects such as the beneath the power lines. That's a real opportunity, and I know that PICO isn't quite as embracing of trails in their right-of-ways now, but and some people have gotten the message that they're no longer allowed, but that's not correct. They do allow licenses. It's an arduous process. It's not easy, but it is possible. Right now, that's not possible to move forward with because they're replacing all of the towers, apparently, we understand from Rick. So there's a major construction and they're replacing all those towers. But I hope it's something the township can keep their sights on because that's, I think, one of the biggest opportunities for us in the township to get off-road trails that are safe for everybody. But it's a longer-term effort. Whitpain has been successful in developing beneath some of their power line area, and so if we could connect with them, that would be really great. What else? Well, we've been looking back to the 2040 comp plan, looking at the ideas in there, trying to prioritize. So basically this bike lane idea has risen to the top as something that is less expensive, more doable, something that we can get some movement on, while still keeping other larger projects in our sights. Another effort was looking at connecting the East Valley Park, is that what it's called? The softball field?
East Blue Valley.
To the community center. Because right now, kids, to get between those, you'd have to go along the sidewalk on Germantown, and it's real fast traffic there. So we looked into how you could get through the neighborhoods, and that would require crossing the PICO right away and some other easements through private property owners. But I think that could be a really nice one and a little bit more in our sights as well. I've kind of randomly gone through that. I think that's it. Yeah. But Frank is a real bicycle enthusiast, and so he's mapped out this route and thinks it's very doable. So we hope to get going on that.
All right, the last focus area that we had for this year was just coordinating with some group called the Shared Energy Manager Coordination. So this is a Department of Environmental Protection program that we applied for. This was actually at the beginning of the year. and were awarded. So we had so many hours with these professional engineers to work on different energy projects through that program. So what the township did with them was look at potential for rooftop solar here and then at GPCC, and then also do a little township EV, and then EVSE, that's support equipment, so the chargers as well. So like the image on the top there is just kind of the layout of where they could put solar panels at GPCC. At the bottom would be the potential or the proposed locations for the charging equipment at this building. So we got the municipal charging in the back of the building, and then out front, probably where we all parked, is where they proposed for the public-facing chargers. So they wrote up a couple reports on that. We took the rooftop solar to council. Not moving forward with it at this time, but I think there has been some progress in getting it on the capital improvements plan and getting it a little more, in the sights of the township and council, saying this is something we definitely want to be doing at some point. The other thing, we talked about the work that's been done over the years. So Ready for 100 passed in 2019. We drafted a plan which would actually lay out the path to 100% renewable energy for the township, for the municipal operation of the township, including electricity, heat, and vehicle usage. Back in 2021, it wasn't adopted at that time because of concerns about resources and this building being renovated and so forth. So we're trying to work on it again, update it, and bring it back in front of council this year. Just at the very end of the year, the last few months, they've said they've been too busy, so now we'll be either at the January or February workshop to present that update to them. Did I miss anything? So that's what we've been focused on this year. I don't have, I think in backup charts there are a larger list of things we've talked about in the past. But now, at least how I envision this working with, we just kind of start a group conversation on, we've got these things we've been working on. We've been making some good progress. Is there any additions to these, both along those same lines, or just other things that people are interested in?
So one of the things that I thought was really, and this time of year, is people raking their lawns. I noticed when I was going door to door, the township is blowing their leaves and taking their leaves away from the park. Are we doing that? I mean, I understand why we're doing that, but why aren't we teaching people why that's not such a good idea?
Well, I mean, we
And I will take all the leaves that you guys blow in bags.
there's a few reasons that we do it, but the main reason is that part of the DEP grant for the township is to recycle, and the leaves are a big part of that recycling program. So they bring them back, they run them through the grinder along with the wood chips and stuff, and they make mulch out of it. So the township receives and Public Works would know more, but they receive a big chunk of money from, it's an MS4 grant that has to do with stormwater management, but like the street sweeper is part of that, the leaf collection is part of that, the recycling program is part of that. So it's based on a grant from the DEP.
But the DEP should understand that in those leaves are eggs and bees and all kinds of things that fireflies, and they're grinding them up and turning them into mulch. Like, honestly, give the leaves to me. I'll put them in my backyard, and they can turn into dirt back there.
You can cover your house with the pollinators.
I would love that.
Whole yard and 20
But,
feet
I mean, really, I go around this time of year, I go around to people's houses and educate them. I take their leaves, and then I educate them on why they shouldn't be putting their leaves in a bag.
Yeah, I would hope that folks aren't
And they're amazed.
putting them in plastic bags. At least
I don't think you
have
can
the
do that.
township
I
collect.
mean, I'll tell you,
They won't
Plymouth
be.
Township residents are lucky because you can put them out to the curb and they
Yeah.
can't suck them up. I live in Whippany, we have to put them in
Paper bag.
paper bags.
Yes,
can't
you
put 'em in
do.
plastic.
I love that.
Yeah.
I go and I pick up like 10, 20 bags and throw them in my backyard.
Where does Woodpane take them after that?
They contract with a hauler that takes them and I'm sure
There's a-
recycles them.
There's a compost thing right on Township Line Road.
That's just to take, that's wood chips that you can
Wood
take.
chips.
That's what.
Just their chip program, or maybe a tree guy doing work in the township, like,
Yeah. We did have this discussion earlier this year. One of the former board members wanted to see, well, I think he mentioned like reducing the amount of pickup dates or collection dates that the township would come up and, so that way maybe it would encourage folks to leave more of their leaves. But I think a better approach we discussed was us trying to do like an educational thing
Yeah.
to tell people to leave their leaves, or like at least leave them around trees or in their garden beds, at least until the spring. If they want to do a little cleanup then, at least the insects and wildlife would have had a chance to emerge. But I guess we didn't do that this fall. But I know, like, so you mentioned seeing leaf blowers in parks.
Yeah,
They're collecting.
we take the leaves out of all of our.
Like they blow them and then I was almost in tears. I'm like, what? Just blow them and then you can just blow it out onto my backyard.
So
Because, I mean, it's just you see.
yeah, I assume that's just in the more like manicured parts of the parks, like in parking in a.
Well, we don't do every inch of the parks, but like at the community center, the leaves, they blow into all the doorways. So people open the doors, and next thing you know, they're down the hallway. So we clean up all around the building. We don't do the whole park, but
Yeah.
This was the park.
we do some in all of them.
Yeah,
So, at
Yeah.
Black Horse Park, they just
that's
did.
the one. Yeah, that's what I
They did
saw.
the community center today.
Okay.
But Black Horse Park, there were tons of leaves, and I'm like, just blow them off into the woods. Don't.
Well, Black Horse doesn't have any woods, but like JFK has woods.
It was maybe it was JFK that I was.
And if we can, we do. If it's, we don't always pick them up. We will blow them into the woods if we can, but we do have a little leaf machine that we pick them up and take them over here to the compost pile.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be really nice if there was some kind of something educating people about leaves and the importance of dead leaves, what dead leaves do for the environment.
Yeah, maybe next year we can set up like maybe at a couple parks. I think like a decent compromise is sometimes you can put like a chicken wire fence around a big tree or something. You can pile the leaves in the fence so they don't blow away and make the park messy. And then you can put up some signage like, this is why we're leaving the leaves here and why this is good. And then you guys don't have to clean up as much. That stuff breaks down. I mean, like oak, I'm thinking at like Black Horse Park, they have that big oak tree and a sugar maple just in that section. No people, not a lot of people really walk through it. We could put the leaves in there.
And you tell people it makes up something about fireflies and butterflies.
Yeah.
This will saving these will give you butterflies and fireflies in the summer.
And it helps with stormwater too,
Yeah.
like a couple inch thick layer of leaves has so many little pockets that holds a lot of water. At first, you know, I forget the stat, but like an oak forest, because their leaves take a little bit longer to break down, can absorb like a crazy amount of water, like more water than you would think. It slows down flooding, you know, when we get those heavy rains and stuff. But yeah, maybe we can do something like that next fall, if that would be.
That would be easy. That would be easy to do. In the meantime, what thing? You just keep putting those things in the bag. And anytime you guys want to get rid of leaves, just bring them over to 508 Conshohocken Road. You just blow them into my backyard.
They do the, they deliver the mulch, which is essentially the leaves that are ground, you know, so that they would, if you wanted that, they would deliver it. They have a program where they'll deliver it to your house.
I don't have a way for you to get into my backyard.
Oh, okay.
That's the problem.
Yep, that is a problem then.
It is a
They
problem.
bring a truck.
Huge problem.
Do you ever get too much?
What's that?
Do you ever get too much?
They will, occasionally, if they do get too much, there's a company that, I can't remember the name, it's either Mayfield Gardens or, there's a company that will take it they mix it with topsoil for, you know, for their, I guess, jobs they're doing, or, there was a mulch company from, like the Allentown area that was coming down and taking stuff, but I don't think they take it anymore.
You said, I'm sorry.
I was just wondering if you picked it up from one location that didn't have woods, if you could go put it in, you know, Harry Weatherall or something to leave that life, you know, somewhere in the township, if that would be beneficial. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're not picking up, you know, 1/100th of what the public works are picking up, so, I mean, we could probably, you know, we don't do any leaves at Harriet Weatherall, like, that's, you know, we leave them there, but like, East Plymouth Valley, around the concession stand, around our playgrounds and things like that, we do, the community center, so.
Now, is the public works pickup also going into the mulch system, or is that
Yeah,
different?
that's mainly, I mean, that's the most of it.
And what's the PADEP program that supports this?
So it's a grant for, it has to do with the MS4 program.
Oh, water, you said.
Yeah, so like, you know, you see the street sweeper that goes around, that's part of it, taking the stuff out of the gutters and, you know, so it doesn't end up into the stormwater. The leaf is part of the recycle program. So there's a few different aspects of it, but the township gets a, you know, big chunk of money from them.
So if I went back, you know, where your place is, where the mulch is, are there leaves back there?
Right now, there's a lot of leaves back there.
Can anyone go back there and get them?
I don't think they load anybody, like they won't, so what they do right now is they put what they call the mulch, which, you know, the leaves and the branch to chip program and the, on Wednesdays, the yard waste program, that all goes together, gets ground up to what makes the mulch. Just leaves, I don't know that you could get just leaves. I mean, I could ask, but they, you know, they don't want a steady stream of people coming in, you know, while they're there trying to work and grind, to be trying to, you know, load it onto their back of their pickup truck or the, you know, into.
Yeah.
But if you wanted leaves, I mean, you know, if you give me your number, I can ask and then, you know, see what they say. But there's a lot of leaves right now.
There's baked goods in it for you guys.
What's that?
There's baked goods in it for you guys.
Yeah, I just don't know I don't know what, you know, how, I know they used to load people up, and I think something happened where they damaged somebody's vehicle, and then that all stopped, so, yeah, I can ask.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a cultural thing. I mean,
It is.
and it's just that there's a lot of deciduous trees here, but I had never raked leaves in my life before moving here to Pennsylvania. We didn't rake our leaves, but we didn't have as many either in California because it was more of a mix of different trees. So it was like a cultural experience moving here for us, actually, because we never raked leaves before and never blew leaves or anything. So as kind of a, and here I know better. I know that that they should be composted and all of that. But it was like it's this weird thing. When we moved into the house where we are now, the neighbors would blow all the leaves. Some people just get to be really anti-tree, and the neighbors would say, now those are your trees. Now be sure those are your trees. And then they would blow all the leaves into our yard.
Your yard?
I was like, wow, this is like a new experience moving to the East Coast. This is like really weird.
That's not normal.
And
I get calls from neighbors that abut the park and saying, your leaves are blowing on my property. When you come to clean your leaves up. So that it is true.
so there's
It's a little bit
cultural
different
kind
than
of
one neighbor to
community
another.
tension, and so my husband actually rakes the leaves now. I mean, you've seen where we live. It's a very open corner. I have converted, everything was lawn when we moved in. I have converted a bunch of area to meadow, and I have native plants and all that, but that's only part of the yard. Then we have a big lawn, and it's not, what I would have planted, but it's there. I'm dealing with it. And the wind blows, and all of our leaves then blow down the next street. And so it's like you want to be a good neighbor. It's very complicated. We got a picture from a neighbor down the street, and they wrote our name on it, and they said, one of your leaves blew down here. It was a joke.
Oh, okay.
It was a joke. And my husband said, do you want it back? Yeah, please bring all of them back. So, because we have a lot of trees on our property. Other people, our neighbors behind us, clear cut. They don't have one tree in their backyard. That's why I wanted to do the tree preservation ordinance. So there's a lot to this thing culturally. I guess I'm just trying to bring up as an outsider, and here I am, a landscape architect. I know you're supposed to keep the leaves, but then you have this like cultural pressure.
But I wonder if people knew.
They cut their trees down though. The people don't want leaves.
Well, the people that don't want leaves, but if you explain it, like when I was explaining to this one woman, actually there were two people I was explaining it to because I took like 10 bags off both properties. And I explained to them, because they were questioning why I would want their leaves. And I said, well, because you have fireflies in there, you have bumblebees in there, you have caterpillars in there, and I want that in my yard. I don't have any trees, so at least not that are big enough to leave me massive quantities of leaves. I want those because I want fireflies in my backyard in the summertime. I want to see those, and they're like, "Wait, what?" And once they realized what was in their leaves, the one lady, she was very cute. She kind of like, well, I don't think I want you to have my leaves. And she said that she was kind of leave the backyard. She was going to rake the front, but she was going to leave the back.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And she said that's where the oak tree is. I said, well, the oak trees are foundational trees. So if you can leave those trees and those leaves, then you want to do that.
Yeah.
Richard Tammany would have been so proud of me. But the other cow's like, no kidding.
Well, there could be some education, and maybe some people would take to it, but there is a cultural
Cultures
thing.
are meant to
I
change.
think the culture around keeping a green lawn too. You don't want the leaves to kill your lawn, so that folks get rid of the leaves because it's a threat to the lawn norm. But yeah, I think that's a great idea next year to do that.
Like a demonstration project with a little sign in a park or something.
Education in some way
Yeah.
other than a
And the
Facebook
topsoil.
page.
When you're done in the springtime, you're going to have this really rich soil,
Yeah.
and you're going to have little worms. Won't that be cool?
Yeah, one of our board members was very focused on that.
Yeah.
I had another comment about, so with the data center thing, possibly the biggest environmental issue that arose in the year for the township, or the biggest environmental impact. And the feedback from, I didn't entirely understand the feedback from the township, but it was that we don't want your opinion. You don't have standing to provide your opinion. The Environmental Advisory Board.
That was confusing, that whole legal thing.
So,
Yeah.
to me, that's not.
Who said that, the attorneys?
So.
How do you explain it? You had the
The
conversations.
conversation is that, as I put on the chart, that EAB is an advisor to council.
But
Township and council.
where is that written? Because our oath
It's in
doesn't
the
say that.
ordinance.
It is in the ordinance. It's an advisory board for sure, and I do know
Well, the
that.
advisory board, it specifically says in the ordinance, to council.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
so,
we don't have, I won't say standing, because I had something legal meaning in the.
yeah, like people stood up yesterday and said, I want
Right,
standing.
right.
So could EAB have done that?
Not as a body,
Why not?
because of this ordinance, I guess.
The ordinance that establishes that this is our role.
You're advising.
We are advise council, then
Council zoning hearing board is a separate body
Yeah,
from
we are-
council.
We are separate from council. We're only report to
But
the.
somebody, like, if you would have got up there to speak, you could say, I'm on the EAB, right? But I'm not.
You can stand up as
representing the
as just a member of the public, or
Yeah.
join with somebody else who had standing like that.
Yeah.
That's what was going on yesterday.
I have to say, I found that very disappointing too, because I felt like the interpretation of the ordinance was in a very black and white manner to the letter of the law. Like, I think we're supposed to just be to the township, right? But it was the reading of the ordinance was that it was specific to council.
The ordinance literally says advisory board to council. It does not say to the township, it says to council. That's what the
When
ordinance says.
somebody stood up and said, I want to be party as a private citizen,
That's fine.
and then you could have done it.
So, is that something that could be worked on to be changed?
I think essentially what it is, you advise council. So if you felt there was an environmental reason for council to oppose something on the zoning hearing board,
Yeah.
you would advise council to say to our solicitor, we think you should have a vote, we think you should send your solicitor to oppose the zoning hearing board on oppose that zoning application on these grounds.
Does-
But the environmental advisory board itself wouldn't go and be that party. You would
Does
advise
council have authority over the zoning board?
No.
Does the
In
zoning
situations where the zoning board is essentially like a judiciary, council writes the zoning code, council does the zoning. But when there needs to be exceptions, when there's applications challenging within the zoning code, that is heard by the zoning hearing board, who is separate, and then you can go through an appeal process through the courts if you don't like what the zoning hearing board says. But none of it goes to council. Council can, upon seeing, every month we read what zoning hearings are up. If there is one that we feel the need to oppose, council can authorize its solicitor to go and oppose that application,
Have
and
you
they
ever
would be a
done that?
party standing. Yeah, there's been plenty of times.
I didn't do it yesterday, though, huh?
So we
would
do that?
Because the question before the zoning board is specifically related to whether or not it counts as heavy industrial. And that's the point where council says that this is going through the zoning board. The point of this is for the zoning board to interpret.
That doesn't make sense.
But you could have, as council, you could have given your opinion that we do not feel this use meets a warehouse or lab or whatever. Could you have done that?
Yes.
Technically, we could have, but we're also, I don't want to
Experts in that field.
we're not experts in that field, and we're also listening to certain advice.
Yeah,
I don't really feel comfortable answering a lot of these
yeah.
questions, just because it is a legal issue.
I mean, it came across to me like the council just abdicated all responsibility for the whole thing and just stepped away and didn't. They're like, yep, we don't have any responsible for it. We can't do anything here. It's up to these guys.
At the zoning hearing, that's true.
That's the way it came across to
I
me.
think, I think Nick made a good point that it is just a judicial board about the legality of
The zoning board
the
is.
definition of the zoning, yeah. Council gets involved when they come back for land development.
Yeah, I think
So
it's.
that's
the
when
next step.
council makes their opinion heard. And they can say whether they like it or not. It's only at land development that they can do that. They have no influence on the planning agency, the developer.
If council says
The
no,
developer had to meet
then
with
it's no? Or
Well, no. The
No,
planning
council's-
agency had to meet first, right? The developer goes through the planning agency. That's an independent board.
Remember
Then through
earlier,
zoning,
back when we were
that's an
at
independent
community
board.
center,
Land development is when council hears it, and they can make their decision, and they could say no.
the zoning hearing board. but I
And
don't remember
and
what
land
the
development.
project
who
was
has the final
and
say?
what that reasoning
Council at land
could
development.
have to do with the pre department.
They have the final say.
Then the developer can appeal and go to court,
There's
take
been a
the
few.
township to court, so.
But it's usually, it's very, very specific, and it's related to
always
something
know Brian has
specifically
deep
in the
pockets.
zoning, to the point where they're actually breaking something in
I think this
the
is.
zoning versus asking for an interpretation
Okay,
of the zoning.
Yeah, I think this was like the preliminary, if they got the okay to say, okay, this
Yeah.
does meet that requirement, then I think the next step would have been where the opposition would have happened. And I'm not on either.
The next step is where council would have had its say.
Council,
We'll have it.
if they don't agree with what, so right now, they just want to know, can it be there? Because it doesn't say it can or it can't. And we're being taped, so I'm not saying this is 100% true, but this is how I interpret it. If they say that, yes, those data centers can be in that zoning district, then the next step would be, then they gotta start going through land development, and that's when I think
Council has
council
to
can
say.
say, we will
Okay.
send the solicitor and oppose this. That's how I,
Yeah, and the other important point that the zoning,
Like we were trying to say, this isn't our responsibility, it's this is not the issue, this is not the legal question that is appropriate for us to go and send them to oppose.
yeah, and Nick, the other thing I learned last night was that the zoning hearing solicitor is independent of the township solicitation, so it's a specialty. And his explanation to us was that the parties who declare themselves up front, so it's the applicant and then the others that may want to have some say, can each call witnesses and cross-examine each other. The hearing board then takes up to 45 days to make a written decision, and any of the parties can then be in that court, if they want to take it to court.
Right.
So let's say zoning hearing approved it,
Process.
the parties that may not have the same opinion could say, well, we're going to go to court to fight that decision that the zoning hearing made. So that's kind of where I see the public who are parties have a chance to influence.
so I guess since we've kind of shifted into this, I guess I would be curious whether the EAB would like to write a letter to council with our recommendation at this point in time.
you certainly could, and the EAB has done that before on other issues.
Okay, so I don't know if we want to revise our letter and write, the next step, I think, at least what seems, what I would think we'd want to recommend is that a data center ordinance be developed.
What have these ordinances look like in other, limits on size or
Yeah, all sorts of things. I mean, some of them have like 1,000-foot setbacks from certain types of uses. Then they control, they might even see the project as two separate applications. One application is the data center itself. One application then is essentially the energy production. So they separate out those two things and look at them separately. Some provide that kind of guidance. Then also the type of energy. Some will say, that you have to do everything you can to do renewables. So some will say if you have rooftops, all that rooftop needs to be devoted to solar, so that the energy mix, so some get into the types of energy, the water usage, so there are environmental aspects as well as procedural aspects. So just so the township wouldn't be caught, without the ability to have this guidance.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if we need to do a letter. I mean, I did reach out to Matt and said we would like to have input or review whatever council the township is coming up with, if they're looking at guidance on that.
So just,
I'll also say, if you go to, I think it was Channel 6, I searched last night because I thought that was the crew that was here. So anyway, if you just search data centers there's I forget what municipality it is, but their council was looking to establish rules, zoning rules, and citizens are opposing that.
they're opposing it?
Because
Vincent?
I don't know where, but they were concerned that was then the red carpet to say, here are the rules, now come into our township. And they want to say, period, we don't want data centers. So I'm just sharing.
Yeah. I think it's a misinterpretation because if you have, if you don't have anything to stand on in your ordinance and your code, you're up against a wall with this situation, the zoning hearing board. You're on your back foot. If you can be on your out front, because it may be that it's not even allowed in this zoning district because of all the things you have in your ordinance. It might be that you would have more control as a municipality over what gets proposed. If you don't have an ordinance, you're swimming just, without that kind of guidance. I understand why someone might interpret it that way, but I think it's the very opposite, the purpose of it.
What if your data center ordinance was no data centers?
Well, there's in the heavy industry, there's a section which
You could
says
make it difficult.
these things aren't allowed. You could put one word, two words in there, and it would be done. But could I pivot a little bit similar? But the comp plan, 2040 comp plan, specifically had some alternate suggestions for what to do with that area, and specifically the steel site.
Right.
And nothing's being done to enact the 2040 plan, basically. So, and then there's we were talking about the mall development, right? And something that was put in there was a path around the mall for biking, pedestrian use, and so forth. That's in the 2040 plan. When the mall developer was coming to the board and talking about their things, they was completely unaware that was in the 2040 plan.
To the zoning board?
This was a council workshop meeting with the developer at the mall, talking to them, presenting to them. Anyway, there's several different aspects, environmental related, in the 2040 plan and overall the 2040 plan that don't get the attention, don't get the follow through that they need, or deserve. So I'm just wondering if there's some way that we can
Because EAB,
push our pieces.
yeah, EAB doesn't have enough visibility in any of these processes.
Yeah, I guess so. I did get to talk to a fellow person in the community meeting that they held 2 weeks ago, and it turned. We actually asked Paul Tornado, would he want the mixed development? He would love to see the mixed development. The trick is that the steel plant is asking for $70 million for the sale. And it's probably got, what do you call that, ground pollution because of the length of time it's been there.
Remediation.
So for a developer to be able to have $70 million and then go through all the environmental remediation is a pretty heavy lift. So you'd have to have a set of developers that would be willing to go together, be willing to do all that environmental remediation and have the money to put down on the sale. So that's probably why this data center is easier for this developer, because there's so much money in the state to do this,
Plus, they're not.
I think
Yeah.
they're using the existing structure.
Yeah.
And they're using they don't have to
Have to even do that.
Right, they don't have to remediate the ground, whereas we have mixed use there, residents and businesses, we're gonna have to make sure it's.
And that's one of the things in these ordinances, is there's a requirement that if they are disbanded, that they must be cleaned up in a responsible environmental manner. And I think, if I was a data center developer, I'm just trying to look at it from, people this is like a gold rush, right? People are trying to get in where they can. They're gonna go to the municipalities that don't have data center ordinances, because they can then do kind of,
Whatever they want.
they're gonna have more leeway. So if you have a data center ordinance that has certain environmental regulations, certain things that are gonna be required, it's gonna be a lot more expensive to do a data center development in a municipality that has that ordinance than in one that doesn't. And so I think the ones that don't are much more vulnerable to being taken advantage of.
Did you?
So I don't agree with that. I understand why people might have that feeling, like it's rolling out the red carpet, but it's not. It's if you wanna be here, you have to follow this.
Did you say that the council is developing a ordinance?
I know I got the impression they're working on it, but I don't know what
They withdraw.
stage. I think it's early.
Case as they withdraw the application.
What the stage of council looking at a zoning ordinance for a data center?
I don't know what the current status is, but I definitely think it's something we are going to consider and probably consider a lot faster now that the application has gone away. Because prior to, while the application was live, even if we put one in, it does not apply to that application. Simply because it was, the application was made.
Solicitor last night implied that the application is null and void.
Correct.
They have to
It's
go
now-
back to planning. So they
So,
have to start over again, and if
They
the.
did not have standing, they withdrew the application, so it would be a new application. So if an ordinance is passed in between their time of submitting application.
Also, another option for you in state law is you can call for a curative amendment. And it gives you 6 months to develop the ordinance, and it blocks all applications for that 6 months. So that's the best way for the township to
you have to
choose.
move quick.
That's the way to do it after the application's submitted.
No.
What
before-
the advertising
before
rules
we
are
go
in
on-
terms
we
of
want
adopting
the
a curative
application
amendment?
Submitted again, because he's gonna go to the planning agency.
No. Do you know what the advertising requirements are for a curative amendment? Like I know like when we pass ordinances, we have to.
We looked it up, so I can't say I know enough, but either way, if you advertise and the developer advertises for the planning agency, if you beat them by 1 day, you should still be legit.
You then have 6 months, 180 days to develop
Develop an
that
ordinance.
That's
ordinance.
what they're doing in Wisconsin.
What's that?
That's what's happening, I think, in Wisconsin.
Curative amendment and.
Yeah. Because he wants to build one in Wisconsin as well.
And that one's burning diesel, which is even more polluting than natural gas.
Yeah.
So how can do we submit a letter to the council with the suggestion of this curative amendment?
Pursue the curative amendment. I would make a motion tonight if you guys discuss it. I can't vote, of course, but if you guys make a motion, you could say we recommend that the township pursue a curative amendment to give them 180 days. And
Yeah.
I would include to ask for public input, because people like Artis and Patty and Genevieve should be able to review it. We don't want the solicitor to just, create it
Right.
without any input.
Well, you found two references about this that we could provide to Nick. There's something in the municipal planning code, the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code, that lays out the process. And then you found another one from a law firm that describes the steps.
Yeah.
Describe the steps for,
A municipal curative amendment.
oh, okay.
It's basically
Not
saying, we don't have anything in our ordinance now to guide us, so we need to fix
that.
our zoning and our code so that we can deal with this new situation, that we don't have anything right now.
I mean, we had a pretty good argument, given what he wanted, given what his argument is. But,
Well, that the use wasn't comparable.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But does that, when you do it, or do you have to allow, then do you have to say, we're gonna, we are gonna have an area that's gonna be approved for data centers? Is that,
Not necessarily. So I just looked up a little code of it online. It's saying municipal curative amendment says one of the options for what it can say is we don't have something in our zoning code that addresses this issue. So it gives us 6 months to write a zoning code that involves that. We still get to decide what that zoning code says. It's just the recognition of this isn't in it right now.
Yeah.
We don't want to rush it. We want to take a responsible amount of time to figure out what that zoning code should say.
and where we're gonna put them?
It could be where we're going to put them. It could be it's simply acknowledging that right now the zoning code doesn't have that there. So it gives us 1 days to figure out where to put it. Do we want it we get the time to address the issue.
One nice thing for that situation could be that you set the setback to be 1,000 feet, so it can't affect a neighborhood like Honeytown.
Yeah.
And then you can't
Even
go back to
1,000
the
feet, that noise and those vibrations are gonna travel
we'll
up
put
to
something
half
in about the noise, too.
hour. Yeah. I mean, it goes.
The setback's not the only thing we can put in there.
Yeah, I mean, you feel and you hear those vibrations up to a half mile away, which is Conshohocken.
Well, there's things
And that's-
that you can't have any of those effects past the property line. So some of these ordinances address those
And
things.
then what happens if it does?
Well,
Bah.
then the township, then it would be a legal situation where they would have to cease and desist, if they're not following the ordinance.
Same thing,
But
it's-
if you don't have an ordinance.
If their air pollution emissions are
Yeah.
exceed their
But I don't know that once it's in there, that they would
fine or up to shut down.
give them a cease and desist
If
order.
they're not following
Trash
the
steamboat,
ordinance.
they always get
Yeah.
fines.
And it also could depend on what punishments you put in for violating it.
Nick, didn't we have a situation like 4 years ago where a crematorium wanted to come into Plymouth up there on, or was that Bluebell?
No, it was on,
That was
on
on-
Possible, I don't know if,
And was this a
was
similar?
that during my time or was that right before my
right
time?
before your time.
I would take a crematorium and.
So what did
Same
thing with that.
Did the same thing happen? Did they ever put it in zoning?
I don't know if they put it in zoning, but that
Throw flash in there.
they went somewhere else.
They can have very high mercury emissions.
Yeah,
No.
big time mercury.
No.
Yeah,
That's the big issue. Yes.
yeah.
So you're saying, Bill, that you were saying that you could just call Matt West and make the suggestion, but
I
you
would
were
think you would
saying
want to get it on the record.
vote.
You as a board.
So we don't have to write a letter, we can just make a
Well,
motion.
I
Well,
would
you
do
gotta
both.
get it to them somehow,
You-
email or something.
You can format your motion to say, we want to create a letter that we will email to council and Matt, and we also want to make this recommendation that they pursue curative amendments. So you can do both. I think that the testimony that Paul was going to read is important to give to council. So you could make a motion, say, send that testimony to council for their awareness, just for their awareness. And then you could say, let's make a motion to ask council to pursue a curative amendment. So I think both of those would be beneficial.
Yeah.
No, it's up to you guys to discuss. I'm
You
I mean, the re-
have some
I'm
second
an outsider.
The residents were against it, right, because the curative amendment.
Oh, you remember, I thought,
an
Well,
ordinance.
the other,
Because they felt like it,
the other situation I'm worried about, as Ellen is worried about, is that if you don't have an ordinance, I think there's a legality in Pennsylvania that you have to, every township has to have a permitted use. So that developer could come back and say, you're saying that we can't do data center. That's illegal in Pennsylvania. I'm gonna take you to court.
and probably win.
Now, the other way that some townships have organized on this is they get together and they do regional planning. So like up in, further up in Monco, there's like 6 municipalities that got together and they do their own regional zoning. So what you could do is you could push the data center zone into the least populated section of those 6 municipalities. So if you got together with some neighboring townships, you could do that. But I think that's a whole new structure.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it's too late for Plymouth to do that with neighbors.
They don't do that.
And there's just not enough open space, I don't think.
What's the state of Pennsylvania?
very large
They're
region.
gonna do an
Yeah.
ordinance.
I mean, the only place I
All this
could
Stuff,
think
and then the state of Pennsylvania.
that
could
data
trump it.
center is where
Yeah, that's what
the
you're
I think
talking
Ellen
doors
was
are.
talking about that yesterday,
You know,
right?
up
Like
past
State of Pennsylvania,
state.
'cause you could do all this
As a
stuff, and
state.
the state could
Where their
do it and
cars-
trump your ordinance.
there.
Oh, if the bill passes, is that what you're saying?
I don't know, but I'm saying that, does the state of Pennsylvania have anything on data centers? Because if you do all this and the state passes something.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's 502, so-
No, municipal, unless they pass that at the state level, where
The
they
municipal gets to
bypass the
decide.
municipality, otherwise, no. The municipality has control of its own destiny.
Yeah.
The state cannot trump local code and zoning. That is in
And
municipal
that's one
hands.
thing that's one thing with the curative amendment that we would, that would not make the developer necessarily happy, because we had already stepped in and started creating an ordinance before HB 502 comes into, is voted on.
So there is a bill in Pennsylvania, you're saying, for data centers?
Trying to bypass municipal
No, it's trying to take away
regulation.
local allowance.
Take away local
So it would
control.
say you don't need a zoning hearing meeting because we're allowed to put data centers.
Fast track them.
Fast track a data center.
No municipal control.
What do they, like, does that have a chance, or they don't know?
It's in committee right now. I'm keeping an eye on it.
So you got the House has one,
Hero wants it.
Oh, really?
so you got the House has 1 seat, environmentally friendly. The Senate is like three or four seats not environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
So if they push the House to convert some members to say, let's go with, the natural gas, or the data center coalition of Pennsylvanians, then it would come into law. If the environmental side of the House holds up, then we could prevent it. So it's a risk. Because Pennsylvania is so divided.
Yeah.
Even
It's-
if we had an ordinance and that bill passed, they could.
No, well,
They would probably,
Yeah.
then the ordinance would get bypassed. Yeah.
Wow.
But it still doesn't hurt to try, I don't think.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it may be that, if your ordinance can be developed in such a manner, they'll just say, this could be way too expensive for us. We don't want to have to clean up when we're done with this. We're just gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So my concern, when I think about, when we specifically recommend this curative amendment path, I don't know. It's telling, or recommending the path to take, and I would rather try to leave it a little more open and say, pursue zoning ordinance and so forth, then I would like it to personally read sustainable, data center ordinance or some sort of environmental.
Well, that's what
this is.
180 days to create that ordinance. It's no different than creating an ordinance.
Okay, I mean, there were conditions associated with that, one being that you can only call that every 3 years, but I don't know what other conditions
I
are
mean,
associated with that.
I-
I'm not a lawyer, I
Your,
don't,
yeah, your point is you're recommending a legal strategy, and you don't.
And you're recommending it to us, so we will consult with the lawyer. Like, we don't have to take your
I know.
We'll consult the legal experts on whether it is the smart path to take.
I'll try to educate you and say this is one option that you can do. I don't want to say I recommend this legal path. I don't know all the hooks and, things that is.
I mean, from the outside, I still think it's okay to recommend it. I think based on what information you have.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, like, none of us here are lawyers. We're not legal experts. But from what we've been able to gather, this does seem like a path worth recommending if you were to choose to do so. I think it would behoove you to be a little bit more like confident in saying like this, from what we've been able to gather as an advisory board to you, this is what we see as the path.
Okay.
Because it's not being forceful, like this is what you should do, this is definitely it, this is the path that we've been able to find looking at it from this lens.
This is an option.
And just to give you a reference of why it probably is a good path to take is the Sierra Club held a data center webinar 2 weeks ago. And there's a zoning hearing up in Jessup, Pennsylvania, that's already had to battle with a natural gas electricity generation plant, and they lost. So the guidance on the Zoom call was that if you guys get faced with a data center coming in, your best choice is to go with the curative amendment, so you get 180 days. It stalls the application. So if they get cold feet because the person who's selling the building doesn't want to wait 6 months, then wants to go to another buyer, it could fall through. So you got two benefits for making it go 180 days.
Would you just wait till this guy submits
I
his
would be
thing?
careful. Your solicitor should tell us whether if they make a planning agency application, and you start the curative the day after, does that mean that the application is grandfathered and the curative won't apply?
I would assume so, but the solicitor would be able to tell us.
So is there any motion, I guess, to draft
Well,
the
is the
letter?
discussion with the public, you were going to do business after the discussion with the public, or is this part of the public discussion? It doesn't matter to me.
I mean, I brought it up as something that's kind of a future agenda item of the EAB, because it seems like it's going to be going on for a while. Didn't it? At the rate it was going last night, it's like, oh, okay, it's going to take a while.
Well, okay, the other thing we learned last night, which some of you didn't attend, don't know, is that the reason why it got withdrawn is because it was pointed out that the applicant did not have a legal agreement of sale because they had just submitted it at like 4 o'clock that afternoon. And the owner's lawyer was there.
Yeah.
And the Cliff Steele owner lawyer said, yes, we received the proposal, but we do not agree, and we redlined it. So it's not a legal commitment
it's not
to a sale.
Yeah.
So the question would be, if the applicant goes back and fixes that red line and reapplies to the zoning agency, it could happen within the next few weeks. We don't know if we should wait till December to discuss this.
Well, I guess, I understand, Andy, that you're concerned about kind of being too forthright, perhaps, or directive. But I think that we could, raise for the council's consideration, exploring a municipal curative amendment. I think it would be all right to raise that as a group for their consideration,
It's advice.
Yeah. I, yeah, I think I need to be careful too. I can act as a citizen in this body, but probably at some point the county will be involved, you know, perhaps in some way. So, and even though I don't have anything to do with that, but working for the county, so I don't think, you know, I shouldn't speak, I shouldn't be the one. It's better, I think, if other people can make the recommendation.
Well, there's only 5 members here, so, I mean, if you drop out, it's only,
I think I can vote, but I don't think I should be the
Wanted to make the motion.
instigator.
oh, you can't make the motion.
Yeah.
All right, so to continue with our group interest or topic discussion, is there anything that anyone else wants to talk about before we wrap up our community engagement?
Any other environmental issues or?
Are there any other board members rolling off besides you?
You have to renew, right? But you're.
I did. I sent in my renewal thing.
Paul,
So I'll be
You have to
dropping
resign.
out. I have to resign like formally or something.
There'll be two vacancies, has that
When do you
been,
have to?
December 8th, I'm leaving.
did you?
So this is your last
submit
meeting?
your termination letter?
It is.
No, I didn't.
So what, if you could, what it gives council permission to do is they can now advertise for applicants for this. So it might be worth it if you can, because then at the December meeting, public meeting, they can announce, hey, we've got 2 vacancies in the environmental board.
Okay.
This is your last meeting?
That's it.
So when people are going off the board, can they make recommendations for people that might be interested?
Right now, he's.
I'm still on the board.
If there's
Place?
somebody, yeah.
Like if
Absolutely, yeah, if
if you know people that you think
Mhm.
Oh,
would
okay.
be interested in one.
Possibly.
So Paul, could you send Andy an email just saying that?
That I resign or whatever. Yeah.
You could send it to me. Or
I
send it
can,
to
I'm on
Matt
the
or-
civil service committee. I don't think I'm allowed to be on 2 committees.
You don't have to do it now, but
Yeah.
as of December, whatever.
I'll do it this week or tomorrow. Or,
I don't think so either.
well, I want to wait till we do something with this data center.
I think,
Will you be able to make the December meeting? or-
No, December 8th
There's a few
is,
that like hop around.
I'm getting in the car and driving.
Something, yeah.
so the council meeting though is.
So council advertises vacancies on all the boards every single month, so they know, like,
And I can let them
Yep.
know down in Cunnytown.
they, that's part of their agenda that they
Mhm.
say we're looking for members for all of the
Okay.
boards.
Oh, okay.
We never
And
filled
if you're
the
saying, if
Paul Crep, is that his name Paul Crepto?
John.
Oh, John, okay, yeah, he's not here.
Did I hear you say that you have to end your term?
I renewed.
Oh, you
My first term is up.
The
the
end of
December meeting will have a lot of, I believe it'll be at the December meeting, either this, because we want to renew them for January, is anybody's terms that are coming to an end, if they're not termed out, we've sent like letters out to asking like, hey, would you like to continue on? So like Andrew's a great example of it. So like that's where we will vote on approving the renewals for anybody that said they would like to stay on for their next terms that will start in January. So there'll be a lot of that. But I think that meeting is December 8th,
Sounds right.
if I'm correct, because Monday, December starts on a Monday. So I believe that's our workshop day, and then Monday the 8th is our meeting day. So if you,
For December 1st.
I'll be there. You better. You want me to bring a cake? It'll be your last one. I'll have you bring a little birthday, a little cake, a little retirement cake.
I think we've got a good list of stuff to work on, continue working on.
You're gonna be close by,
No, I'm moving to Chicago.
so you can't even come back and,
No.
speak on behalf of your.
No, I
Yeah.
felt bad last night that they just, I really felt like it kind of got all built up and everybody's engaged and showing up and ready to go. And I was just like,
That might have been their goal.
I was just gonna say that, I don't want to say too many bad things, but that development would have a good reputation, that's for sure.
so that, I mean,
I did put together a new form for this for anyone to fill out. Maybe we could put this on our Facebook page and so try to get some engagement still through the Facebook page on some other suggestions for activity.
Can I make a suggestion that you also post just before, so people don't have to scan? Like, going door to door, one of the things I have discovered is that most people don't know how to scan.
I mean, I have
A lot of
the
people
link
live in-
here, and you can put the link on the website.
Yeah, I would put, yeah,
That's what I took a picture of that link so I can put the link on.
yeah.
But no, not a lot of people see our Facebook posts, so yeah,
Yeah.
we don't have a.
You can
I guess
also
we-
put it on Talking Limit.
Yeah, I try to, but they usually don't get a lot of engagement, so it doesn't get seen by many folks.
really?
Yeah, I think we need to like.
I think on Talking Plymouth, there's always somebody talking.
Yeah. But there's a lot of posts, like if you go on the page, you'll see like there was like 30 posts that day and only like 2 of them get a lot of engagement and show up in your feed. The other ones are like, yeah, no one sees them. Because I posted like 2 posts about the tree giveaway and they didn't really, yeah.
All right, so can we conclude then the community engagement brainstorming?
Yes.
You don't have to leave, but there's a couple other, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna split, I got it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Yeah.
you for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, Artis.
Ouch.
What do you want to do about those leaves? You want to?
Oh, yeah, you know what?
Just you want to call
Call
me?
Chris? Or call you?
Well, I'm going to ask the guys out back, but you can call me or call Chris.
All right, here, you know what, let me give you my card too. But yeah, I mean, there'll be baked goods in it for you guys if, just like last summer. Thanks.
All right. I don't know, you want to talk about
Bye.
Thanks, Artis, see ya. Yeah, so this is a request from some environmental groups. I think it was called, forget what.
solar? Is that-
What's it, solar? I couldn't remember. So anyway, what they're asking is the PUC, Pennsylvania PUC, to place a higher priority on getting renewable energy projects through the interconnection queue, and they feel that the process and the approach has just been detrimental to renewable energy being able to be more advanced in Pennsylvania. And now that the natural gas lobby is getting the bend of the interests of the energy industry in Pennsylvania, they're starting to prioritize those installations above renewable energy installations. So this letter is a request to the PUC, Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission, to ask PGM to be more conscious and maybe help solar be a little bit more recognized rather than depending on natural gas to be the default choice that everybody makes. So they were asking for as many signers on, and they're looking for governmental entities, I think, to help give a little bit more voice rather than individuals signing this. So this is really for organizations to sign. So I sent it to Andy just asking if the EAB would be willing to support sending this to council and asking council to sign for Plymouth Township as a representative. So I did forward it to the sustainability director of Montgomery County, and she forwarded it to the commissioners. Commissioner Neil Makisha signed it for Montgomery County. So I don't think council has a lot to be concerned about. It's not, I would, I'm sorry I didn't get this to you guys earlier to be able to review it before tonight's discussion. But if you could motion it forward to say we'd like to have council consider signing this, to help promote clean energy. It helps meet our Ready for 100 resolution goals and the township's energy transition plan. So I think you've got several benefits that, and I don't think there's any negatives to it, so.
Can you scroll through the rest of the letter?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm aware there's a huge backlog and only getting worse, and happy, I think it's, I don't know, it's neat, I guess, that the municipality could sign something, participate in this. I just found it a little confusing with what you sent so far. I mean, I clicked on it was a Google form, and you put
So
your
they could-
name in. It just seemed very.
Yeah, so.
I don't know if
So I guess
it's going to want to.
They're looking at a couple ways. So the form was to let organizations that were willing to do it in the forum to do it. But the other way to do it is to take the letter and put it in a Word document like you did, and just send the Word document to council. Don't even give them the form, and just say, this is a promotion by the solar organization to help Pennsylvania, encourage renewable energy, or whatever you want to say. And it helps us meet our Ready for 100 goals and energy transition plan. So I agree that the Google form is not the best way I would think that a township would want to submit. I think they would want to send a letter to the PUC.
Yeah, that's what we did with
The previous
Last year.
previous one we did last year.
maybe I could take a look at how we
Yeah.
reached out about that. I can't quite remember.
I think, yeah, you just put that on the letterhead and just, send it to the council. I might have that in the email.
Yeah.
So are there any objections to this?
Yeah.
Well, I guess, do you guys want a chance to read through it some more, or?
It's pretty much read it. It's pretty short.
Okay.
It's like 1.5 pages. Is that the end of it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
There's a little more information when you open the form, but this was the letter text, so. I don't know, I don't know the numbers or anything, but the backlog, as I understand it, in fact, I thought they closed all major.
I stopped it for a while to get caught up. So they were predicting the end of 2026 to kind of be caught up with everything that's in the queue, but now that the natural gas industry is coming back in, those queued projects are probably going to be delayed even longer. So it's hard to say how it's all going to play out. But again, I think the solar industry is interested in getting the PUC to treat the renewable energy side of the request for energy production in Pennsylvania on a equal footing, and not to be subjugated to let non-clean energy take priority. So I think that's really the intent, to try to get as many municipalities that are interested in clean energy to sign on to support this. Because, when the PUC, they have this docket system And every document goes in there, and you can start to see the accumulation of the yays and nays, because you can kind of get a sense, which industries are supporting the request and others that are objecting to the request. So it gives the PUC a better feel for where its constituents are interested in influencing energy decisions. And as a clean energy community, I think it'd be good for a council to sign on.
Is there, the county, they already signed it, is that it? Would
So
it be possible
Neil-
to get a copy of
Neil
that?
Makisha, I could ask Debbie as an example, sure.
Yeah, I mean, then provide a letter for our township, and then say, here's an example as well, like the county has already signed this. Yeah. So we can get the vote in. I mean, we can work out, I think, all the details of how to format it or send it to council, but I think we could still take the vote on the general idea of we support the letter and send it to council.
Sure.
Okay. Any motions?
Motion to take the vote, or to accept it?
Second?
Okay, and now,
I second.
so now you can vote, yeah.
Oh, now you can vote.
I don't know. It's probably easier. Any objections to send it?
No.
All right, so that's all accepting then. Unanimous approval, okay, thank you. All right, so yeah, I mean, if you could send me the letter, or the
Sure, I'll ask her for,
county level.
I'll ask her,
letter.
yeah.
I'll work on, I guess, how to look back at what we did with the last letter, and then I'll send it to this group and just make sure format looks good, and then I'll send it to Matt and council.
Thanks all.
Well,
All right.
do we want to make a motion regarding the curative amendment?
Yeah, I guess I'm not opposing. I think just the wording of like how it would be our recommendation from our research. This is a path. I don't want to come off too strong and say this is the solution. But yeah, and like you're saying, we're just recommending anyway, so it doesn't matter. But
And you could include this, that other municipalities in Pennsylvania that are faced with this similar situation are considering, and some are actually pursuing, so there could be some references that could be provided eventually to the solicitor, so he could talk with other solicitors that are already doing it.
Did you want to do it as, like, try to rework our letter, or do it, like, start fresh and just do a simpler thing?
well, I thought you had a really good start. It was a great letter that you had drafted. I thought it was really good. I would start with that. I know we changed a little.
Change the
Well,
suggestion?
what we did was add some stuff to it, and
Yeah.
then dropped the curative amendment part.
And it could be brought back in
Just put it back
with a
in.
lighter touch.
Why not make them two separate submissions to council, say, here's our testimony that we wanted to present, and here's our suggestion for a curative amendment. I think making them two different submissions helps, because then they can review them separately, and when they talk about it in the workshop, to actually, decide on the curative amendment, because that'll have to be maybe a decision they'll make. They don't have to intermix the discussion of all the other issues with the data center with just the curative amendment, because the curative amendment, I think, is a standalone suggestion that I don't know what we need to get muddied with our testimony, because it could influence some council members differently than other council members, whereas the curative amendment is kind of neutral. This is something the township can do to help itself be more prepared, But let's not put all our language about the environmental issues of the data center in that request. So I would make them two separate.
Well, maybe just kind of forget the letter for now, since it's not really in a way, it's not applicable since there isn't an active application at this time. Maybe just set the letter aside for perhaps reworking for future use, and instead just, like Bill's saying, have a very simple message saying, from our research, we've suggest you explore, or something like that, just softer language, and that's just focused on that. Maybe that's a good idea.
Just an email, then you're saying? I mean,
It could
less
just be an
formal.
email, sure.
Do you think that's an appropriate, if there's no environmental issues mentioned in that, is it appropriate coming from the EAB?
Well, I'm going to jump right in, because, I mean, I don't have a huge issue with a data center if it could be 100% like clean energy. At that scale, it's going to be impossible near. But, I mean, you know, there's other light and noise and everything, but I feel like you could work that into the zone from an environmental standpoint. If it was completely powered from renewable energy, I don't know.
Or even fossil fuels, you could, as long as you had the appropriate pollution control on it.
But I don't. I hear what you're saying, but yeah,
I mean, I don't think that's feasible, but
I would still like to push for that. So to me, to have that, and I put it on the chart, that sustainable data center aspect of it, as an EAB, that's really the path, a recommendation. You know, that's what I would.
the main problem I had with the application was he didn't specify whatsoever what he was going to do. And was basically just asking for a blank check to do anything. So,
Yeah.
And one of that references, Andy, if you want to include it, would be that renewable energy net zero data center site. There's a website that's actually promoting net zero data centers. So you could say data centers can be built to be net zero. So, you know, maybe what it would allow would be eventually nuclear and or fusion, because small modular reactors are supposedly coming back in play in the next 3 years.
Tell them, we're going to put a nuclear reactor in your backyard.
No, I'm kind of teasing, but, you know, in a sense, okay, let's say you go for curative amendment and you say it has to be renewable energy powered, that's going to put a pretty good restriction on it, because if his roof is only so large, he'll only be able to get so much solar and so many batteries on the property, and he'll be limited to how many megawatts he can drive his computers. But that's an ordinance that the township could state. Developers may fight it, but at least you've got a data center ordinance that requires, yeah, I agree.
I've seen there's actually like a like sustainable data center. It's actually like a publication.
I could see the solar working if you were like in the middle of the desert or something.
Yeah, that's where a lot of them are.
Probably township.
Well, the only way you do solar outside of your boundaries, like Philadelphia. Philadelphia built a 70 megawatt array in Adams County,
Middle of the state or something.
but it supplies the electricity for their site. So electrons are electrons. They don't care that the electrons are being shipped, you know, because it goes onto the grid in Adams County. Philadelphia Operations has taken it off the grid here. You know, PJM doesn't care. They're paying for the green sourced electrons, and they're using the brown sourced electrons. It makes no difference. They are being more sustainable because they put green electrons on the grid. So it doesn't have to be within your boundaries.
I think the big thing for the data center would really be how do you have uninterrupted power supply for a sustained period.
Yeah, I mean, they need that on-site power.
Yeah.
They cannot put
Immense
power in the middle
battery.
or put power in the middle of the state.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I came up with one sentence that you could, it's pretty light, I think.
One sentence.
Based on our research, we suggest that the township may want to consider pursuing a municipal curative amendment that could allow time, 6 months, to develop a data center ordinance that could carefully guide potential environmental impacts.
It's a long run-on sentence.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
But if it's an email, I don't know if we need to have a vote. Send an email and say, here's our research.
When I sent Matt an email about that one, and he said, "Is this been discussed by the EAB?" So he did want an acknowledgement that the EAB
Yeah, but
had
You're also
presented.
trying to have, you're asking the township to sign a letter and send it to the PUC. Here, again, we're just informing them of what our research has been.
But if it's on behalf of the board, then should we motion?
However, that's fine.
Cool.
A motion to send this
I
sentence.
second that.
Okay.
Yeah, either
You could
either
change
that
the wording.
sentence or the entire research, doesn't matter, but this is very effective. Like,
We're going to work out the details, not at the
Right.
meeting here, but
yeah,
still trying to cover the top level. Are we doing two different things? There's the testimony and the letter, as Bill had suggested.
Well, I don't know that the testimony is relevant at this time.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point,
mhm.
because the application was withdrawn.
Right, that
The
we could,
testimony
Hold on.
discusses the application.
Right,
And then if he applies again, then you could bring it up, and you could probably revise your testimony because there may be new information you
Yeah.
want to.
right,
Mhm.
right. Yeah, they could be doing all renewable energy.
Or nuclear.
Okay, so then the vote would be, what we're proposing is just the letter saying, here's our research, and we'll talk about the curative amendment.
yeah.
We could say we'd be happy to share examples.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it needs to be this one sentence. I'm
Yeah.
happy to expand on that. I'm just-
Right. I forwarded you the email from 2024.
no,
That
thank you.
has led.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so there was a motion and a second to write the letter. Do you have a vote then, support or not? So anyone against sending a letter on the curative amendment to council? All right, seeing none, so that's a unanimous pass, so we'll also work on that, and we'll use the lead-in sentence here as
You
provided.
can change that, you can change that.
Like run-on sentences, it's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a couple of votes. Wow. Any other motions?
Motion to close this meeting.
Yeah, I second that.
Right at
Right
Thank you very
at 9
much.
o'clock, is that 9 o'clock?
Oh, yeah.